It's not that, the earnings growth rate for the rest of the market has turned, has flipped over, turned decisively negative. So I think that, the differential there is notable, but I think you have to also look at it in isolation, where if you're just looking at the other 493, in the S&P 500, looking at their performance relative to what the prior quarters have been, I think that's a better way of analyzing it, not necessarily comparing it and benchmarking it against the Mag 7. But, in terms of performance, there's often sort of a distortion around how the thinking goes when it comes to mega caps and their performance in the index. Just because they're the largest contributors because of their size and you multiply the market cap times the performance, it doesn't mean that they're the best performers. And in the top 10 stocks in the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 this year so far, none of the Mag 7 members are in that group. So there have been pockets of outperformance and a lot more opportunities, down the cap spectrum, even in a large cap index like the S&P 500. It doesn't necessarily have to be concentrated in a handful of names that tend to be the largest members in that index. And I think that's an important distinction because a lot of times when you see headlines or analysis around the mega caps doing well, it sort of implies that they are the best performers. But for investors who are looking for more exposure, maybe outside of those areas, they can definitely find it without having to be, necessarily in a handful of names if that's what they're looking for in a portfolio.